Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for, where are we now? The 30th day of August, 2021. Well, it's a Monday, a moon day. It's all smoky outside. So much so, my husband has to wear a mask. I'll have to wear one too if we go out. And we have things to do. We have irrigation today and all kinds of stuff. Got the garden to take care of and the chickens to feed and all of that. So it's not like we can just stay inside. We can't. But we're really dealing with, there's a fire, I think maybe northeast of us a little bit. And, or no, not northeast, northwest of us, I guess. And that may be what's coming in right now. There's some to the southwest of us as well, but they seem small enough that I don't think that's where this is coming from. I think it's the one that's northwest of us. So that's probably why it's the way it is and has been for the last week or so. We just have a lot of really dry conditions here, and I don't know if any of these were arson created or if it was just lightning. Lightning does a lot of them. Sometimes though you'll get it where it's arson created. I know there was one fire season we had here. It's been years ago, but there were so many set right around our area, just real close in, that they found out that in fact I think a couple of them were set by somebody. So, but I don't know. They haven't said what any of these were. So I'm assuming it's just been lightning because we've had, that. Even when we don't have any weather event, we might have ground striking lightning. So it's just the way it is here. But I hope you all had a good weekend. I got stung multiple times again by a wasp out in the bean greenhouse. I didn't see it, and I was picking beans, and one was I have most of them are pole beans, but I got a few plants, just a handful that are bush beans in some of the raised beds. Just wherever I had space, I stuck some bean seeds in there. Well, that's where I got it, and I got stung. Like twice here, and then a couple times on the back, and oh my God, my hand was so swollen. So I treated it and did lots of things, and by the next day, it was basically all the swelling was down, and so that was good. I'm getting tired of getting stung by wasps, though. I got stung in the leg with because we have a metal gate that they're like tubes, and so there's holes in the ends, and then there's like woven wire. It's like a grid type of a pattern on the inside of it, but then it's made with poles, right? It's just a farm gate, and but it's right where it's on the driveway, and I have to open it to get out, right? And so of course the opening where they were at was right there where you have to stand, and I didn't see them. And I was just going to go up. The guys were here to cut the hay, and my husband was up the driveway, and I was just going to go up there and give him his tea. And I got stung like 4 times in the leg and right by the knee. And so I had to deal with that. And I did. But, it just, I don't like it. Which I'm sure you can understand. Let me move my keyboard out of the way. I got another keyboard because the first one I have with this doesn't have the numeric pad off to the right, and I don't know why I could have upgraded. I don't know why I didn't. But I finally got upset and got one that I could actually function with. I don't like typing numbers up on that top. I make mistakes. I just like to do it over on the side. So anyway, let's take our rune for the day. That's enough about me and my issues. Well, there. Sometimes it takes a while for them all to fall through my hand, through my fingers. Here we have Ingus. So this is, Ingus is I believe, the 22nd rune of the Elder Futhark. And so you're talking a real alignment with the master number 22, which is the cosmic builder. So when we talk about Ingus, we talk about the seed or the sudden release of energy. It can mean new beginnings. It can mean the birth of something, either a child, a pregnancy. It can mean the birth of something new. It can mean, yeah, again, new beginnings. But there's something sudden about it. Sometimes I think that it will also mean maybe information is coming out, some truth that we were not aware of is coming out, and it's going to come out like in an immediate way as opposed to unfolding. You see what I'm saying about that type of energetic impact? So Ingus has a tremendous impact, and when it appears, we want to sit up and take notice. Let's see what our geomancy rune is. We'll throw down the runes that are the elemental ones. Now this is going to be acquisitio, or gain. So, you know, are we going to gain in awareness? Are we going to gain financially? Let me find it here so I can show you. Is this it? No, that's a missio. That would be the complement of it, or the opposite of it. There it is. There's actually just 8 geomancy runes, although there's 16, but technically there's really 8 because you're looking at the complement of one another, so that doubles it. So acquisitio is gain, emissio would be loss. But again, you don't have to associate a financial component to it. You don't have to associate an emotional one or a value judgment one. This can simply mean increase and decrease. So acquisitio could be increase of something. But, you know, it could also maybe intensify the effect maybe of Ingus as well, if you think about it that way from a standpoint of increase. So we'll see. Something could be revealed today. We've just... I guess the Hurricane Ida has been downgraded to a tropical storm. Lord only knows what's happened. I know I saw video yesterday. It was not good. The storm surge, I don't know what it's done. So we'll see here today, I guess. Those of you that are on the East Coast have probably already watching the news and seeing it, but I haven't turned that on yet, so I don't know. So consequently, it could have something to do with that. It could have something to do with the 1-6 investigation. It could have something to do with anything, you know, that we're waiting to find out about. Also, what's going to happen to governors who don't seem to want to protect children. There may be, in other words, there's lots of things that something could come out of today, you know, and maybe give us some clarity, maybe, you know, and again, I'm trying to think of this as a positive instead of a negative, and, you know, so let's, it could be, so, but I don't really want to focus on that. So let's not, and let's just stay positive and think that maybe this is going to be something good. So let's go ahead and take the first 3 cards. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I really appreciate you stopping by. Give it a like and subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And come back and join our little tarot and rune family here. I think that, well, I'll just tell you, I start with the runes, and then I lay out 3 cards as the general influences, the third of which, if there's going to be an outcome card in the reading, it's likely that one. It seems to center on that one. I just lay things out, and then I start watching for patterns, okay, to develop. And that seems to be what's happening. And then the final 2 cards, the first one will be what will challenge us. And then the second card will be what will, the last card would be what will benefit us. So 5 cards total, but the first 3 are going to give us the most information. And basically, but what's going to govern the reading itself is going to be the 2 runes, Ingus and acquisitio. So theoretically, the card should simply give us more information about that. But if it doesn't, last week we had a week filled with major arcana cards, you know, so higher self talking to us, and the high priestess connected both days together. So, you know, very powerful. So we'll see if we're going to continue along that vein, or if we're going to do something maybe a little more mundane and routine. So We begin with the Six of Swords, a little journey over water, journey toward new perceptions, in harmony there, shared purpose, shared direction, against the odds, because it's in winter. The Page of Pentacles, something new about our foundation. Not really, a little more risk averse than say maybe the Page of Wands might be. But the Page of Pentacles is generally, the pages are thought to be students, the young people, that they're the youthful person in the court section of the minor arcana. You're looking at page, knight, queen, and king. And then now the page can also be thought of as the princess, and the knight can be thought of as the prince. Depends on the deck you're working with. But in the Rider-Waite, it's the page and the knight that describe. They're youthful, but the knight is the one that's already gone through the training and the study and all of that. But the page is going to have a spiritual focus, going to be reliable, dependable, conscientious. So whatever message the page brings, you can trust that, and it's going to have something to do with the physicalness of our lives, so material possessions, tradition, work, family, home, all of that. So this could have something to do with relocation to a new home, maybe. So far. Now, the Seven of Swords, this is about leveling the playing field or theft of intellectual property. But you can see this guy here. He's likely, he's a thief. But you see behind him are the king's men. There's some over there. They're also in their tents, and they've left their battle plans out. Okay, swords is the air element, so it's intellect. If it were wands and you saw a bunch of staffs, if this was instead the Seven of Wands and you had it presented this way, then it would be that they're stealing armaments, okay? But here I think they're stealing battle plans, and they're leveling the playing field, because the town or the village that the king's men are about to go and attack, they don't have the wherewithal to defend themselves. They don't have the arms. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the mindset even to deal with the kind of brutality that can come from the king's men. And so here they're just trying to level the playing field so that they know, so they get their battle plans, because they're stupid and they leave them out there in front of everybody because they're so ego-minded, They don't need to guard anything because they're all powerful, right? Well, no. So we have a 6 and a 7. That's 13, so that's 4. So again, this has something to do numerologically, at least with our security, perhaps, our material security. You're watching collectively, we're all having to deal with the virus increasing, the new variant increasing and being so harmful, and you've got idiot governors that don't seem to want anybody in masks or vaccinated, is just supposed to run through or some such thing. I think the guy in Florida made some cryptic comment that maybe he didn't mean to make about this is the herd immunity. We haven't been able to do that. It's like, well, no. Why would you do that? Why would you kill people? That's because that's what's happening. And now it's our children that are flooding the hospitals. And so, come on. We can't do this way. So maybe a shift in perception is going to happen that focuses a little bit more on our security. But to do that, we're going to need to have some shift in perception here where we can gain the advantage and understand what the quote bad guys are doing, the king's men are doing. All right. The ones that want to harm us, the ones that want to take from us, the ones that want to plunder and pillage. Yeah. See, it's parents and grandparents that are going to put their foot down and say, no, not my child. Not my grandchild. You're not doing it to them. I know here locally they're going to still offer distance learning. If you're not comfortable, you don't have to come in. You can just do it at home. So I just think that I wouldn't have anticipated that here, but yay. I don't know. I think that maybe this is worn on us maybe a little bit, and people's perceptions are beginning to shift, especially as so many more people that have been vocal against it, anti this, anti that, that are literally dying. What was it? Four radio hosts, conservative radio hosts, just during this month have passed from COVID. I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and then they end up in the hospital on an event and they die. So one of them, I think, was 30. Leaves behind a wife and kids. Did I read she's pregnant? This didn't need to happen, And maybe that's what the 6 is telling us here, the shift in perception. Let's look at that. See, against the odds, they're moving on, aren't they? I generally read this as a family of 3. Mom, dad, and the young child. They've got all of their knowledge in front of them, all their awareness, all their perception that they've retained, and they're moving across the water to something new. But it's snowy, isn't it? So against all odds, against the elements, against everything that's in their way, that's in their path, they're going to move on anyway. 6 is a number of shared whatever, shared direction, shared purpose, shared awareness. And I think that they've realized there needs to be a shift in perception here, but it needs to be collective so that they can all move on together. Again, are we dependable? Are we reliable? Do we have a spiritual focus, or are we all about ego? Can we see the other side of self? Or, can we see others as the other side of self? Or do we see them as the other? Do we see that fundamental unity? And do we respond to it in a way where we want to preserve life for other people? Or are we just going to throw caution to the wind and do whatever we want, irrespective of the impact of others? I'm surrounded by people that do that. So this hits home for me. People that don't want to cooperate, people that don't want to wear masks. And now as my husband says, they should have never lifted the mask mandate at all here in this state, because now it's people don't want to wear them. So although I think most people are, you go into the stores now, and even the one that was left that we could go into, and people were actually, the staff they're all wearing them, but you've got a whole lot of people that aren't. And I think I told you guys last week, I was actually standing next to one guy, and I didn't see it until I was literally right by him, but he had a sidearm on, and we're in the freaking body wash section. Okay. I guess it's scary to go buy body wash when you're a young guy. So you've got to bring a gun in, right? Yeah. So that was awful. So we finished and left because I don't want to be around it. I don't know why he needed to do that. I don't know why he needed to be provocative that way, but that's what's happening, and that's what we're having to deal with. And somehow we're supposed to be just fine with that. But maybe now that, just take Florida, for example, the parents that are standing up to that guy, he found out that he really can't enforce anything he's saying. He can't take money away from the school districts. He can't force people not to wear masks. And so consequently, you've got parents leveling the playing field. But again, what's going to come out today to bring all of this home? Something has to hit home today. That's the presence of Ingus, where we gain something, where we gain the advantage. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe Acquisitio is actually aligning with the 7 of Swords here, where we gain an advantage. The truth gains the advantage, right? You can't ignore this anymore. You know, you can't. And it's something that we're all going to have to deal with. And these people that don't want to cooperate, well, eventually they're just, I don't know what's going to happen to them. Well, maybe we do. I hope not. I hope they wake up. You know, that's what I want. I want them to wake up. And don't harm anybody. Don't harm themselves. You know? But there's so many big things that we're all dealing with right now, the most immediate of which is staying safe from the virus. Then we have the January 6th insurrection to deal with. We have the former guy and all that he did to deal with, because we're going to have to. Right? Now we have hurricanes to deal with. So there are big things right now to deal with. And maybe that's the release of the sudden energy from Ingus. Maybe it's just that we're having to deal with so many big things. But I would watch for something today over the next couple of days, because this reading is going to cover today through Wednesday. Look and see what big thing comes out that we didn't know about, that's going to clarify some stuff. It's going to shift perception to something new, taking with you only the things that make sense now, that's actual truth. How are we going to now shift perception to live fully in truth, instead of the delusion and the conspiracy that others expect everybody to live with and die with? Okay? Maybe something's going to happen that brings that home. I don't know. Or it could have something to do with the other big things we're dealing with right now. Let's look at the challenge card. We have to be strong. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard to be strong. So now we're to a 3, looks like. So we have 4 and 8 is 12, and that reduces to 3. So we're at to 3 right now. But here, the strength also means taming the wild within. The challenge is to be able to tame the beast and to have control over it. I mean, this is really a card of spirit transmuting ego into spirit, if you think about it. The woman in white, she's got a lemniscate above her head. She's got a crown of some kind of a greenery there on her head. And you see the lion lovingly at her side. She's got her hands around his mouth. And it shows the ongoing struggle of transmuting ego into spirit, where you draw your inspiration from the realm of the soul and of the higher self, where you let go of the ego's influence and focus your vibration higher and give the ego no attention. You don't need to counsel the ego. You need to walk away from it. You need to turn your attention to spirit. That's how you do that. The ego will then, it will relax. It will not try to impact everything, because it can't. The ego is an extraordinarily low vibration. And you raise your vibration high enough, you take your focus to spirit, and that just goes away. You don't feel the impact of the ego anymore. It finds no purchase. And that's challenging, isn't it? Especially for some people, but you have to wonder, are they a catalyst for the rest of us? Is that really what this is? If you talk about it from spirit, what's going on collectively to drive all of this? In times where it makes no sense, you have to wonder, are these higher self forces coming in and forcing a change? What's happening here? Because none of this makes any sense. People that you would think people could understand the notion of, we've been dealing with the flu forever, right? We know if you don't get a flu vaccine, well, you risk getting the flu. and people die from the flu. So we know that it's not a good thing, right? So what's the deal with the COVID? Why can't people understand this? We've grown up with this knowledge of transmission and contagion. We've watched it happen in other countries where there's an outbreak of this or that, right? So why this? Why now? Are we coming to an Ingu's moment where the sudden release of higher self energy to inform everybody's awareness, to bring us to shift our perception like the Six of Swords to a new path? Well, let's see what the last card is, the benefit card. Let's see, what's my time here? We're doing pretty good. Well, we have the Fool. So again, 2 major cards today. The Fool with his eyes towards spirit. And it's not a he at this point, by the way. It's still a genderless, free-floating astral energy focusing into form as he takes the leap. It takes the leap into form. This is undeveloped potential. We see the sun up in the corner. The card 0, which is the card of the 0, is the fundamental unity that we come from, the collective consciousness from which we take that leap into the void, down through the abyss. His dog at his side, his knapsack over his shoulder, holding a white rose, signifying purity, purity of intention. So what commitment did he make? What is he going to do? Because, I mean, it really comes down to service to self and service to others. And from there, it branches out, right? So by controlling the ego, it gives us unlimited potential to become whatever we want, to bring unity and awakening to people here. And I think that we need that right now because so much is a mess, isn't it? No matter what thing you want to center on, it can apply to any of the big stuff that we're dealing with. It can apply to even the little stuff we're dealing with, you know. But we need a shift in perception, one that protects all instead of, you know, runs amok and lets ego run amok. And maybe we need to level the playing field with some truth here and gain the inner strength to look past ego and take that leap of faith into something better that's governed by higher self instead of governed by ego run amok. So, well, that's a good way, I guess, to begin Monday. It's like, oh Lord, what's going to happen, you know? But I mean, it could be such an incredible revelation that, you know, people are all very worried that Department of Justice doesn't seem to be doing anything. I suspect that they're doing all kinds of things. And the problem is if you tip your hand to those that you're going to be arresting and indicting and all of that and prosecuting, then maybe you get them to hide evidence. Maybe you know, it stimulates them to do something to protect themselves, which is not what you need. So you wonder how many of these people are going to actually be indicted for all of this that's gone on, whether it's dealing with the virus or dealing with what happened on January 6th, or dealing with the guy that was, you know, formerly in the Oval Office. I think that when you understand who he is, I've been recommending Craig Unger's work. I do recommend it. The first one is it's not the first book he's written, certainly, but House of Trump, House of Putin is a good place to start. But you don't want to end there. You want to read American Compromat, his latest. There you see the involvement of the KGB and Russian mafia, all of that with this guy. And but, you know, you also saw it in House of Trump, House of Putin. So read them if you haven't. I know they're available on Kindle. That's how I got them. And read them. If you don't know any of this stuff, you're going to be shocked. I wasn't, because I've kind of known about this guy since the 80s. So, it's just the way that is. Okay, so hey everybody, the video stopped just as I was ending it. So I just want to again, I was recommending people read Craig Unger's work, and the most recent, his latest two books, ending with American Compromise. House of Trump, House of Putin was the first one he wrote before American Compromise. Read those books, and that's going to give you some real insight into what happened in the last presidential administration. So it'll wake you up a little bit if you didn't already know. Many of us already did, but this gave details we just didn't know about. And so it's a good idea, I think, to read that stuff, and that will help you to understand what may be coming. So anyway, I'm going to hook these two together, so you're going to see a little weird blip there, but where it freezes and then it goes on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let's get together again on Thursday for the rest of this, and we'll see what the cards and the runes have to say then. And then let's go ahead, and if you want to, and you're magically inclined or you're just interested, watch for the correspondences. There's just short little videos Monday through Friday for work and magic. Look for those. And I guess that's it. The forecast is going to go up on the blog here shortly. Well, I have to do it, and then it'll go up. And then that goes up 5 days a week. That's the big one. And then I have smaller versions that get posted over on Patreon and Medium. So anyhow, thanks for watching. And, pay attention to the Ingu's moments that are arising over the next few days, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.